You know, the Reynolds House Museum has countless exhibits over the years covering as many subjects as you could probably imagine, but this latest one is more personal than any other exhibit in their history. It's called Smith and Libby, and it's the tragic story of the tragic death of RJ Reynolds' son Smith and how his death by a gunshot in 1932 was never really resolved. Was it his wife, his best friend, or suicide? We spoke with Reynolds House Deputy Director Phil Archer to get the story. All right, Phil, so I mean, this is fascinating, and I'm also shocked that I never knew this, but there's a reason why. But first, tell us the backstory. What happened in this room in 1932?
Well, this is where it all culminated with the shooting of Smith Reynolds in this sleeping porch. And the porch has been closed until today for several decades, as has the story in lots of ways. It's sort of been shielded. There was a party the night of July 5th for Smith's friend, who was also a pilot, and Smith, his wife Libby Holman, who was a Broadway star, and his best friend Ab Walker were all awake and in proximity to this room when he was shot.
Now, he was shot in this room, right? So if we look, where was the bed here?
The bed was right in the center of that wall, and we know that he was standing about where I am and fell across the bed.
Okay.
Because the pool of blood was on that side of the bed.
Yep.
And the bullet flew through the window 7 feet above the floor, which becomes an important part of the forensic questions, because he was shot. This is a little gruesome, but above his right temple, the bullet entered and left behind his left ear, behind and below his left ear. Yet it left the room 7 feet above the floor. So his wife, Libby Holman, claimed that he was standing above her when she was in the bed, but that angle is impossible for a man standing. So
now, she was indicted, right, with his best friend for murder.
So the nation got hooked on this story, and people still get hooked on it because of the notion of a household name, and his wife and best friend are indicted for his murder. And it never went to trial for reasons that the family, the publicity was very painful. There's rife speculation about their lives together, and she was pregnant with his son.
Oh my gosh.
So the family, though they did not believe it was suicide, were willing to let the case be dropped, and the state incredibly agreed to drop it. So this is first-degree murder, would have carried the death penalty,
Gosh.
and we never learned the truth.
We'll never know, really.
I think the world will never conclusively know. We have all this evidence, and people have looked at it, over the years. What this exhibition does is the evidence is still there, but we're also bringing pieces of their lives, so it's their lives writ large.
It's fascinating, fascinating. Thanks for bringing this out. I mean, I can't believe, so we're probably one of the first people to get back in this room in decades.
Three of us are the first.
That's amazing. All right, thank you, Phil, appreciate it. All right, so that's an echoey room. It's kind of tough to hear. Basically, the bottom line is Smith Reynolds was RJ Reynolds' son. He was the heir to the millions and millions of, obviously the wealthiest family at that time, probably in North Carolina. Winston-Salem was actually the largest city in the state back in those days.
At that time,
yeah. So he was shot and killed. Some people thought that his wife, who was 7 months pregnant at the time, and his best friend since childhood, both said that it was suicide. Now, they had said there was some talk of doctor's appointments and things that might have been a thing, but the forensics of how the bullet exited the room and stuff, they said does not add up, especially with today's science. And so they think he might have been murdered by either his wife at the time and his best friend, or one or the other. And they had different stories about what happened. They both said he threatened suicide and then did it. The family eventually asked the DA, it's over. We want to drop it. But they had already been indicted. But still,
interesting.
Yeah, the state government said okay. And so it was never brought to trial, and we don't know to this day what really happened.
Thanks for bringing that.
And you can walk through that exhibit now at Reynolds.
Yeah, not that room, but you can do
Right.
the exhibit, and I'm going to do a more in-depth piece on this in the coming months, so stick around.
Looking forward to that.